Sold a Story is back.
Book drama!
This morning in my podcast feed, I noticed that after a break of more than a year, the show Sold a Story is back with a new episode called The Aftermath. If you haven't listened to Sold a Story, please ditch my show right now and go check it out. It's journalism at its finest. Host Emily Hanford really wanted to find out why so many American kids just can't read, and she found out. Educational theory is complicated and boring and confusing, but Hanford managed to really break it down in a way that normal people can understand. As any American parent or teacher knows, school curriculum is big business in the United States. Giant textbook publishing companies come out with new methods and expensive new books and training every year, reinventing the wheel and leaving parents perpetually perplexed about how to help kids with new math or whole word reading. There are three big literacy gurus who led the charge on a very faulty method of teaching reading. They're all professors at famous universities, and they've all gotten rich and famous by preaching their failed literacy methods. The publishing company they partnered with made big bucks off of selling their books, and all along taxpayers were footing the bill, schools were using faulty teaching methods, and children weren't learning to read. So what happened in the aftermath of Sold a Story's bombshell reporting? I was happy to hear that the professors and publishers behind the faulty yet profitable curriculum are in disarray. School districts across the country are ditching the method called queuing and dumping programs like Reading Recovery. One guru is no longer running the teacher training college at Columbia University, where she's been queen bee for decades. But the other two professors at Ohio State University and Lesley University are tripling down. I can understand why it's so hard for these gurus to accept reality. They've spent years becoming rich, famous, and influential peddling their belief system, and now it's all come crashing down. But that doesn't change the fact that enough evidence has come in showing that their methods are harmful and shouldn't be used. I won't spoil the rest of the episode, as Emily Hanford's reporting is so good that it should be heard directly, but I did want to share that when I was listening, it felt like I was hearing a story about a religious scandal. Part of the episode plays audio of two of the professors talking to each other during a large Zoom call in which they address the crisis they're now facing because of what Sold a Story has revealed. One said something like, "We're not the devil people say we are," and the conversation sounded more like two deeply religious people than educators. They were reassuring themselves that the criticism of unbelievers couldn't be valid. If you're a parent, a teacher, or just a good citizen who cares about our kids, please check out Sold a Story. As an American who lives in Britain, I've noticed that British schools tend to lag a few years behind American educational trends. I've seen good and bad trends creep into schools here from across the pond, so British listeners would benefit from listening to this show as well. I think it's more likely that the professors who push these failed methods are true believers rather than grifters, and I think the publishing company that enabled them was just happy to sell profitable books. That means that logical arguments can't be used against these people or their devotees. The best way to get them out of schools is to go straight to your school board or your local politicians. The only thing that worries me is that after we've ditched the failed methods, will some new educational guru backed by yet another big publisher step in to snap up those tasty, tasty government dollars, pushing yet another dubious kind of curriculum? Education should be evidence-based, and I think the evidence says that kids can't possibly change that much from year to year. As long as there's a profit motive, and as long as educational gurus can get rich and famous from speaking at conferences and providing expensive training on the latest reinvention of the wheel, kids will be failed. So when you hear that new curriculum is coming, make sure you look into it. Make sure it's evidence-based. Make sure it'll actually teach kids to read. I have my own theories about how we could make literacy education cheaper, more effective, less profit-driven, and more fun and actually educational for children, but that's a topic for another day. In the meantime, if you want to help your kids learn to read as this literal book drama unfolds, then read to them. No technique is better. Read books that you and your kids love, and read them often. You'll see what your children need help with, and you'll be able to give them that help. I'll see you soon with more shows about great books for kids and, very probably, more book drama. Thanks for watching.